Hello everyone and welcome back to my Spider-Man animated series episode 10. This is the finale to the entire series. So if you have enjoyed this series up until now, make sure to leave a like. And also if this is your first time watching the channel and you have not seen the rest of the episodes, make sure to go back and watch them before you watch this. But with that being said, let's get straight into this. We start this episode where we left off from the last. Carly doesn't believe Peter at first, but Peter reassures her that yes, he is telling the truth. Peter Parker is in fact Spider-Man. Carly doesn't know what to say. She can't say anything. She's in shock if anything. And eventually as she sits there, she says that she can't talk to him at all at the moment as she leaves the room. Peter, bewildered, even knowing if this was the right idea, sits there. We cut to Fisk. His men report that another faction has detached from his reign. So over the last few episodes, Fisk has been losing power over his control of New York City, and he's losing it fast. People are concerned that he doesn't have the iron fist that he once had, and therefore different factions under his control over the city are now subsequently leaving him. And this becomes a snowball effect up until this episode where multiple factions leave at the same time. He has reports that different parts of the city are no longer under his control in the underground, major crime families, and also on ground as well as the mayor. Fisk is losing control, and not just the trust of the people of New York City, but the trust of the people that do his bidding for him as well. But that's when we reveal that Wilson Fisk has in fact had a backup plan. As we reveal, Norman Osborn has been captured, finally, by Wilson Fisk. We reveal the end of the last episode when Spider-Man was looking for Norman. As you remember, Norman was nowhere to be seen. Spider-Man obviously thought that Norman had gone into hiding somewhere as to avoid Dr. Otto Octavius. However, Wilson Fisk has captured him in the heat of the moment, and whilst everything was going awry, decided that with all the attention on Doc Ock and Spider-Man's battle, this would be the best time to go in and snatch up Norman Osborn without anyone noticing. We will cut to Fisk and Norman having an interaction. Norman says that he can get him arrested for this, and he doesn't know the mistake that he's making. Norman will threaten Fisk, and we will see a different side to Norman here. A side that we have never really seen. Norman seems threatening, scary even. He says Norman will come down on him like a ton of bricks, and he won't even see it coming. And Fisk will laugh this off. His ego will also shine through, stating that Norman is overconfident. Fisk has him right here, and he could take him out any moment. Norman says, "You won't." And Fisk says, "Try him." As the tension rises, we cut back to Peter Parker. And this next portion of the episode will be Peter reporting in at Frontline and him trying to do his normal daily things to try and take his mind off everything. We will get reminded slightly of what Peter's life is on a normal day-to-day basis, as everything has been kind of a bit chaotic recently. But mainly, this will be a part of this episode here to represent how Peter is really trying to just keep his life in check. He's trying to keep his life normal and take his mind off the fact that Carly isn't talking to him or isn't messaging him. He thinks about calling Carly, but he can't. She'll call him when she's ready. This will be constantly plaguing Peter's mind throughout this episode. Therefore, he'll say, well, he might as well just do Spider-Man stuff while he's got nothing else to do. So then Spider-Man goes looking for Norman, trying to see if he's okay after everything that happened with Doc Ock. After all, he couldn't find him after the battle in the last episode. But after a bit of searching, Spider-Man can't find him. This slightly worries Peter. Norman also isn't returning Spider-Man's calls. Spider-Man decides to go looking for him, and that's when he arrives at Oscorp. But who does he bump into? That's right, he bumps into Carly Cooper. It's awkward as he asks what she's doing there. She says that she's doing work, very bluntly. This awkward interaction will stain this scene for a few minutes. Peter will try and break the silence, saying, "Can they talk now?" And Carly says that she's not ready to talk. Yet, in fact, she can't even think about him in that costume. Getting back onto topic, Carly says that Norman Osborn is missing, and Wilson Fisk took him. Peter asks, "How do you know that?" And Carly says that it's obvious. She explains the motive of how Fisk is the only person that would try and kidnap Norman in the first place. She also says that the signs are here. She points towards the damage caused by the fight that Spider-Man had with Doc Ock, saying that the fight caused a lot of damage around the room. You can see that lights are hanging off the ceiling, you can see that there's holes and dents in the wall. However, there are signs of struggle from a regular person trying to fight off a couple of people, something that's not present in the damage caused by a massive fight between Spider-Man and Doc Ock. She points out scratches and scrapes on the floor and the walls, made by a few people fighting in one particular corner, and it so happens to be towards the way of the door. She says these signs of struggle are too small to be between him and Ock, and rather they are of a couple of people fighting. After the fight with Doc Ock and Spider-Man, Norman was clearly in the room, and some people, maybe 2 or 3 people, came in and took him. Norman tried to fight back, but it wasn't enough. Peter says that she should be a detective, and she got all that from just analysing the room. Carly doesn't say anything back, once again reigniting the tension within the room. Peter asks, how do we find Fisk? And Carly says that she hasn't quite figured that out yet. She's more trying to figure out where Norman Osborn has gone first. And that's when Peter has an idea. He says he knows who to see. Peter goes to the bar with no name, but he goes as a disguise. This time, instead of going as Peter Parker, and obviously he can't go as Spider-Man, he goes as a villain that he made up called the Prodigy, which is a reference to the Identity Crisis storyline where Peter had multiple different identities. So Peter will enter the bar as the Prodigy, and he'll be asking around as to information as to where Fisk's HQ is, until he bumps into Hammerhead, who says that he's thinking of sacking Fisk off. He's losing his power, and Hammerhead can't be on board a sinking ship. Hammerhead makes it very passionately clear that he isn't trying to affiliate himself with Wilson Fisk anymore. Prodigy says that he's looking to take him out, and Hammerhead squints, and will be cautious, but says that he'll give him the information he's looking for if he does a favour for him first. And Peter asks, what's that? He says to steal plans, blueprints from Fisk Tower, of a new tech design. Hammerhead will tell Peter that his next employer, who he's currently in contact with, would really appreciate it. Hammerhead hands Peter the info as to what they are, and Peter, with no other option, and with information about Fisk on the line, agrees to steal these blueprints. The next few scenes will be Peter infiltrating Fisk Tower, and once again Wilson Fisk isn't there either. He steals the blueprints. Peter, knowing that what he's doing is illegal, has a quick nosy look at them. They'll all say Spider Slayer designs on them. Peter will think that's not good, and questions if he should even hand them to Hammerhead in the first place, as it sounds like something that could be quite dangerous. But Peter will say that's a problem for another day, because at the moment he needs to take out Fisk, and he needs to find Norman Osborn. That's the top priority. He'll take them back to Hammerhead, and he'll be impressed, and tell him the info he needs. And this is where we enter the final battle of the episode, and basically the entire series. Peter will head to Fisk's secret HQ, where he hangs out most of the time. Peter will encounter multiple guards on his way up to the secret location until he finally makes it to Fisk. He asks, where is Norman? And Fisk will say that that's none of his concern. And the massive conflict boils over finally, as they engage in battle. Fisk at first will get the upper hand, and will be quite surprised to see how weak Spider-Man is. Fisk says that he thought he'd be stronger. However, Peter will pull through, using all of his experience of fighting villains throughout this season and leveling up. At the start of the series, Peter was rusty and still not a fully fledged Spider-Man. But now he's a veteran Spider-Man, one with knowledge and experience. Peter wins, and Fisk is arrested. Carly calls Peter as he answers. Peter is excited to hear from her, when all she has to say is that she's found Norman. He's safe. Peter, deflated not to hear anything more, still positively replies, as he's glad that Norman is finally safe. We cut to Norman and Spider-Man. Spider-Man checking in on him, making sure that everything's okay. Norman shakes his hand and congratulates him on defeating Fisk, and thanking Spider-Man for everything that he's done. The city will be a much safer place now, as he reassures him. Spider-Man agrees that it's been a pleasure, and Norman says that he'll be in contact soon. He'd like to work together again sometime, and Spider-Man agrees. Spider-Man leaves Norman, as Norman heads back inside, to a broken but under repair Oscorp tower. And this is where we cut to our final scene between Carly Cooper and Peter Parker. Peter knocks on her door and asks if they can talk. Carly says that there's not much to talk about. He lied to her, and after everything that she told him about her past and everything, how could he betray her like that? Peter says that he was just trying to protect her. Carly says that's not protecting. That's keeping a part of who he is secret. How can she build a relationship with someone off that? Not to mention, she can't deal with him being on the front lines all the time. She says that one day she could just lose him, and she's not prepared to go through that pain again. Peter tears up as Carly cries at her doorstep. Peter reaches out and holds her tight. After a few moments, Carly pulls away and says that she can't do this, not as long as he's Spider-Man. Peter says that he understands, and as the door shuts in his face, Spider-Man is the root of all his problems once again, as we end the story of Season 1 there. Thank you for watching my Spider-Man animated series Season 1. If you guys would like Season 2, make sure to comment down below. And make sure to let me know if you are enjoying this series so far. I'm going to take a little break from this series. I'm going to focus on doing other fan fictions for a little while longer. But obviously, if the support for this series is there, and if you guys really want a Season 2, then make sure to let me know. And Season 2 will be on its way very, very shortly. Hopefully, no later than the start of 2024. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, and peace.